Good morning, 7 East. Happy Monday, everybody. Or miserable Monday, who knows? I'm sure all of you are feeling kind of tired. You've been celebrating these holidays over the past week and weekend. But we have an action-packed week for you in social studies. We are going back to war this week. Yes, we have a new war to learn about, the War of 1812. That begins more on Tuesday to Friday. But we have a show today that's going to set things up for the week. As a reminder, even though we are on the air now, LEPRE Radio will be on hiatus, meaning we will not have a show for the rest of the week because you have a documentary clip posted each day. I don't want to bombard you with too much video. And that's what you're going to watch in place of this broadcast. So on this Monday, April 13th, Monday the 13th, I don't know if that's good luck or bad luck, we are going to have on our agenda 3 items. One, I have the calendar for the week. I think I'm going to do that regularly from now on. People like that idea of having a calendar that tells you what we're going to do every day in advance. Also some reminders. Second thing on our agenda, how is President Jefferson remembered? We did the same thing for Adams. I went over the President Jefferson administration slides on Friday. So if you want to listen to that for the assignment today, you can go back to the 18th episode of LEPRE Radio. And then last segment of the day, weird news. Some extra weird stories this week. I love them, and hopefully you'll love them too. So first thing on our agenda, the weekly calendar. So this gives you an idea of what the calendar for the week looks like. I'm going to post this on Classroom as well. So Monday, you have a video, LEPRE Radio, episode 19. That is what you're listening to right now. And our question today is, how is President Jefferson remembered? Election of James Madison, and preview of the War of 1812, which is the topic for the rest of the week. Now, your assignment today, it's the Jefferson administration notes, the exact same thing you did for Adams, you're just doing it for Jefferson. So you use the slideshow that's posted, or you can use the 18th episode of LEPRE Radio, where I go over the slides themselves, or you can also use part of today's episode if you find it helpful. Also, there was a Google Meet today, 12:30 to 1 o'clock, Google Meet. Be there if you can. Then starting Tuesday, we're going to begin our War of 1812 learning. And for War of 1812, we're watching a documentary. It's 4 parts. Each part is between 15 and 20 minutes long. And I'll post the clips all in advance, so you can space them out however you like. But I'll also post them again each day. So if you want to space it out and watch 1 clip a day, you can do that. Your assignment for the War of 1812 documentary is I'm going to give you a Google form multiple choice question sheet based on the video. So if you're watching the video, you answer the questions in response to what appears in the video. I tell you in the question where to look in the video for the answer. So if it's, for example, the question needs you to look at the 7th minute of the video, I put 7 minutes in parentheses so you know where to look for the topic where the answer is. Tuesday and Thursday are our GimKit days. So we have Mega GimKit 3, Mega GimKit 4. It is a brand new GimKit at this point because we're doing the Unit 6 Early Republic. So now you'll have all these new questions. Anything related from Washington to Jefferson is fair game at this point. Wednesday, Thursday, there's no new assignment, but just keep pace with the documentary. You can watch part 2, part 3. That is how it is scheduled. If we were in school, this is how we would be doing it. And then on Friday, War of 1812 Part 4. It is the last part of the documentary. We're also having a Google Meet in the afternoon at 12:30. We're trying to keep this consistent. There's going to be no new assignment, but I will actually post the assignment for Monday, April 20th, early. Because if you watch the documentary, all 4 parts, you can actually get the assignment done that will be formally assigned on Monday and due the following Wednesday. But it's the same exact thing that you're doing for Tuesday this week. It's going to be a multiple choice Google form based on the documentary clips. In this case, the questions will come from things that you see in parts 3 and 4. So remember, for today's assignment, you're taking abbreviated notes in your own words on what is in purple. If it's in purple, you put it in your notes. Abbreviate it in your own words. So our GimKits this week will have questions related to anything we have covered from Washington to Jefferson. Use the notes you take for Adams and Jefferson and my notes for Washington to help. We never did a Washington notes assignment. It's because I gave you mine as an example. Second item on our agenda, how is President Jefferson remembered? So after going through the Jefferson notes on Friday, now let's just talk about, in retrospect, looking at his presidency, what do we think of it? Well, as a president, he's remembered as doing a lot of good for the country. And frankly, better than John Adams. There's a reason Jefferson gets reelected and John Adams does not get reelected. Prior to serving as president, he was also the author of the Declaration of Independence, among many other roles in the founding of the country, and probably one of the most important of the founding fathers, maybe second only to George Washington, depending on who you ask. So pros and cons of the Jefferson presidency. You can see a lot more positives than negatives. So he kept America out of war, kept us neutral. He followed in the footsteps of both Washington and Adams on that front. He doubled the size of the country. So we have Jefferson to thank for America being as large as it is in large part. The Louisiana Purchase doubles the size of the country. It's hard to imagine what America would be like today if he did not actually make that choice. That whole thing could have been owned by France. It could have been owned by Spain. America might have been much smaller than it is today, if not for the Louisiana Purchase. He did bring more unity to the country. Adams was very controversial, especially what he did with the Alien and Sedition Acts. But now America is starting to become more unified. The Democratic Republicans, it's kind of almost like a one-party state at this point. The Federalists are just losing in popularity, and they're going to eventually go extinct as a political party. But America is much more united under Jefferson's idea of democracy. Jefferson also respected the First Amendment more than Adams. Remember, he undid the Alien and Sedition Acts. He freed those people who were in jail. So definitely more of a reverence and respect for the Constitution. And lastly, he defended the United States against pirates in the Barbary States. So he stood up for America. America's standing in the world is increasing at this point. Now, on the negative side, this is kind of maybe a little bit related to the Revolution of 1800. A lot of what Jefferson did for reducing the size of the government is actually going to be a big problem starting in 1812, as we're going to see. But one notable thing was that the embargo of 1807 was a disaster for the economy. That was basically Jefferson trying to avoid problems with Britain and France by saying that, okay, as long as you guys are going to keep attacking our ships, we're not going to trade with anybody. And all that did was hurt the U.S. economy, and it just lost money, and it didn't really solve the problem, because the other negative from his administration was he didn't find a long-term solution to the Britain and France problem. So this has been a problem in Washington's administration, it's been a problem in Adams' administration, it is a problem in Jefferson's administration, and it will be a problem in the next administration too. Now, there's a reason why I amplify that last part. Because, looking at the fact that Jefferson can't figure out what to do with Britain and France, that's going to become the main and pretty much only issue of his successor's presidency. James Madison, also a Democratic Republican, gets elected in 1808. So Jefferson retires after 2 terms, following in Washington's footsteps. And as you can see, the Democratic Republicans, the much, much more popular party. So when Madison takes office, pretty much the only thing that he has to deal with is the Britain and France issue. So under his leadership, America finally picks a side and declares war. We have been trying to stay neutral this entire time. The Democratic Republicans are very pro-France, so we come in on France's side, essentially. We're kind of not in the exact same war. It's a separate war, but we're fighting the same enemy at the same time. So in 1812, the United States declares war on Britain for continued kidnapping of U.S. sailors. That's called impressment. Interfering with trade, because they were attacking American ships, and arming Native American tribes. We call this the War of 1812, even though it takes place beyond 1812. It starts in 1812, so we call it the War of 1812. One of the most famous things coming out of this war is that the original White House actually gets burned down. The British capture Washington and burn down the White House. Many of you might not have known that. This is also the war that gives us our national anthem, the Star-Spangled Banner, and we're going to get into that when we watch the documentary. So in the War of 1812, just to set the stage for you, America hoped to catch the British off balance because most of their soldiers, 90 to 95% of their soldiers, were in Europe in their ongoing war with France. Britain and France have been fighting pretty much nonstop for 25 years at this point. It's crazy how long this stuff goes on. But America's thinking, okay, we want to kind of assert ourselves and kind of sneak in a punch on Britain. They're distracted fighting France. Let's attack them now while they're at their weak point. But things start to get seriously bad for America in 1814 because Britain defeats France, and after that they start sending more soldiers to America, and these soldiers had a lot of experience fighting the French in Europe, and things are not going to go exactly as America hopes. So for the rest of the week, we're going to be watching a documentary on the war. It's split into 4 parts, one for Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and that's the rest of the week. And the documentary we're watching is from the History Channel. I think it's called First Invasion. It's a really good documentary. I remember when it came out. And just to conclude on Jefferson, Probably remembered as one of our greatest founding fathers. He's also remembered as a great president. America's much better off after he leaves office than when he entered. And for that, he gets honored. He's one of the few presidents that's on 2 pieces of money. I think only Jefferson, Washington, and Abraham Lincoln are on 2 pieces of money. So Jefferson's on the nickel, and he's also on the $2 bill, which no longer is really used, even though it's still legal tender. And the $2 bill, many of you probably know the front, but the back also has the painting of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. The nickel, many of you might have wondered what that building is on the back of the nickel. That is the estate that Jefferson owned and lived at, called Monticello. And he actually designed this building, the dome that you see on the back of the nickel. And that is a real place, and it's pretty much kept as is. So just showing you on this part, that is the building on the back of the nickel, is Jefferson's estate, and he's also buried on this property as well. He died on the 4th of July, 1826. Him and Adams died on the same exact day, July 4th, 1826. They were friends, became enemies, and then before they died, they became friends again. So it's a happy ending for those two. There is a great scene of this in the John Adams miniseries. Maybe I can post it just to show you what it was like when they kind of reunited and became friends again. Really good part of that miniseries. Probably one of my favorite parts of it. We'll see if I can find the clip for it. Also, weird fact, Jefferson, I believe, is also the inventor of the rolly chair. So if you are currently watching this video sitting on a chair, a computer chair that rolls with wheels on it, I believe Jefferson was the person who invented that kind of chair. So let's thank Jefferson for that. I'm thanking him right now because as I'm speaking, I'm swiveling around in this rolly chair. Thank you, Thomas Jefferson. Oh, now, our fun segment of the day, weird news. Got some amazing weird news stories for you today. 3 top stories that I found that just shocked me. Although I shouldn't be shocked at this point because the world is stranger than can be supposed. So story number 1, driver caught doing 130 miles an hour, claimed he was trying to avoid virus. So apparently this was in the UK. The driver was driving 130 miles an hour, and when he got stopped, he said that he was trying to outrun or outspeed or outdrive the coronavirus. And as it turns out, we actually have footage of this amazing chase. Get ready for it. Here it is. That's right, it may take only 88 miles per hour to go back in time, but apparently it takes 130 miles an hour to outrun the coronavirus. So I guess we have found the cure. Everyone can just drive 130 miles an hour, and they're going to be safe from coronavirus. Amazing, the discoveries we're making right now. But who would have thought that you have to drive faster to avoid corona than to go back in time? Who knew? Story number 2. Italian mayor uses drones to screen profanities at residents ignoring lockdown. So it's not just us who are locked down and kind of stuck inside. People in Italy are as well, people around the world in other countries. This Italian mayor is apparently recording, or I guess he's following it live, but he's sending a drone around with speakers and he's like yelling bad words at people, telling them to go back inside. And we actually have some of the audio here of this Italian mayor.
It's me, Mario. Press start to play. Ha-ha! Hello!
Imagine this mayor. I believe this mayor's name is Mario De Mario. Or Mario. Luigi Mario.
Yippee!
So just imagine Mayor Mario going from town to town, that playing on the speakers, trying to encourage you to go inside. Maybe you'd welcome it. I don't know. I kind of think I would be terrified if I woke up one morning and I heard Mario sound effects from a drone outside my window. And our final story of the day. An Illinois mayor ordered police to enforce the stay-at-home order. They did, and busted his wife at a bar. So this mayor is trying to get his police to police better and force people to go back at home and not be outside as much. And who do they catch? His own wife at the bar. Well, Mr. Mayor, I have the exact sound effect that I think many of us are thinking of right now, and here it is.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
Yes, he did play himself. That's what happens when you're not really sure that everyone in your household is following the directives and you send out your police to enforce. Unfortunately for him, he ends up with egg all over his face. And yes, he did play himself. That is our final story for the day. I'll keep these coming. This is the one and only episode of Free LEPRE Radio this week. Please continue filling out the check-in forms if you have questions. GIM kits Tuesday and Thursday. Google Meets Monday and Friday. If you have anything else you want me to address, please send me an email and let me know. This is Mr. LEPRE signing off.